Picture this. It's the middle of March. The ground is still half frozen where you live, and every other gardener you know is hunched over seed trays, starting tomatoes and peppers from scratch again, just like they did last year and the year before that. Meanwhile, somewhere in your garden, something is already stirring underground, something you planted years ago and haven't touched since, and it's about to feed you all over again without you lifting a finger. That's the entire idea behind what I call zombie crops, plants that refuse to die, that come back season after season no matter how much you neglect them, and that actually get stronger and more productive the longer you leave them alone. And I homestead on 4 acres in northern Vermont, Zone 4B, where our ground freezes solid by November and doesn't fully thaw until sometime in April. If a plant can survive here without babying, it can survive almost anywhere. Today I'm walking you through 4 crops that you plant one single time and then harvest for literally decades. No replanting, no starting seeds indoors every spring, no yearly seed orders. Just plant it once, walk away, and eat. The first zombie crop on this list is asparagus, and it might be the single most patient plant you'll ever grow. Here's the catch nobody tells beginners. You cannot harvest asparagus the first year, and honestly, you shouldn't touch it much the second year either. According to Oregon State University Extension, asparagus crowns need 2 to 3 full growing seasons to establish a strong enough root system before you start cutting spears, otherwise you weaken the plant permanently. But once that root system is established, you are set for the long haul. The University of Minnesota Extension reports that a well-maintained asparagus bed can remain productive for 15 to 25 years, with some documented beds still producing after 30 years. To plant, dig a trench about 8 inches deep and 12 inches wide, space your crowns roughly 18 inches apart, and cover with just 2 inches of soil initially, gradually filling in the trench as the shoots grow taller over the following weeks. Asparagus does best in well-drained soil with a pH between 6.5 and 7, and it wants full sun, at least 6 hours a day. Once mature, a single 20-foot row can produce several pounds of spears every single spring for 2 straight decades. You cut what comes up, you let the rest grow into tall ferny stalks by midsummer, and those ferns are actually feeding next year's harvest back down into the crown. Plant it once in your life, and your grandkids might still be eating from that same bed. The second zombie crop sounds like something out of a horror movie, and honestly the name fits. Egyptian walking onions, scientifically known as Allium proliferum, are a perennial onion that literally moves across your garden on its own over time. Instead of producing seeds in a flower head like a normal onion, these plants grow small bulbils, tiny onion clusters, right at the top of the stalk. As those bulbils get heavy, the stalk bends over under the weight, the bulbils touch the ground, and they root right where they land, effectively walking a few feet every single year. According to the USDA Plant Hardiness Database, these onions thrive in zones 3 through 9, meaning they handle brutal winters just as easily as they handle mild ones. To plant, you simply bury a bulbil about 1 inch deep in loose, well-drained soil in early fall, space them about 8 inches apart, and that's genuinely the entire process. Come spring, you'll have green onion tops you can snip for cooking all season long, and by midsummer the plant sends up new topset bulbils that you can harvest, pickle, or simply let fall and replant themselves. The underground bulbs also multiply on their own, so a single planting of 10 bulbils can turn into 40 or 50 plants within just a few years, all without you doing a single thing beyond harvesting. The third zombie crop, and honestly one you need to respect before you plant it, is the Jerusalem artichoke, also called a sunchoke. Despite the name, it has nothing to do with Jerusalem, and it's not related to regular artichokes at all. It's actually a species of sunflower, Helianthus tuberosus, native right here in North America, and it was cultivated by indigenous peoples including the Iroquois and Huron long before European settlers ever arrived. According to research published by the Native American Ethnobotany Database at the University of Michigan, you plant a single tuber, roughly the size of a small potato, about 4 inches deep and 12 inches apart, anytime in early spring once the soil is workable. By late summer, the plant shoots up anywhere from 6 to 10 feet tall, topped with cheerful yellow sunflower blooms. Then in fall, after the first hard frost knocks the top growth down, you dig up the tubers, and I mean you dig up a lot of tubers. A single plant can produce 3 to 5 pounds of tubers in one season, according to Purdue University's horticulture department. And here's the catch: you will never fully harvest them all. Whatever tiny piece you miss in the soil regrows the following spring, which is exactly why old-timers used to call this plant artichoke, both for its effect on digestion due to high inulin content, and for its stubborn refusal to ever leave your garden once planted. Planted in a contained spot, maybe inside an old livestock tank or a bottomless raised bed, and you'll harvest sunchokes every single autumn for the rest of your life, whether you want to or not. The fourth and final zombie crop is horseradish, a root that's been used for medicinal and culinary purposes since at least 400 years before Christ, according to historical records referenced by the University of Illinois Extension, where ancient Greek and Egyptian texts both mention it as both food and remedy. Horseradish, scientifically Armoracia rusticana, is planted from a root cutting, sometimes called a set, roughly the thickness of a pencil, and about 8 inches long. You plant this set at a 45-degree angle, about 2 to 3 inches deep, sometime in early spring after your last expected frost date. Space plants about 18 inches apart because this crop needs room, both above and below ground. By fall, that single root cutting will have transformed into a plant with a thick central root system a foot or more deep, surrounded by dozens of smaller side roots. You harvest by digging up the main root each autumn after the leaves die back from frost. And here's the zombie part: you always leave a few pieces of root behind in the soil, intentionally or not, and next spring, new plants emerge from those leftover fragments without you doing anything at all. The Ohio State University Extension actually warns gardeners that horseradish is nearly impossible to fully eradicate once established, since root fragments as small as an inch can regenerate an entirely new plant. Planted in a spot you're comfortable dedicating permanently, maybe along a fence line or in a bottomless container, and you will have fresh horseradish root to grate for the rest of your homesteading life. Now that you know all four, here's how you actually put them together into one low-effort growing system. Pick a section of your property, ideally somewhere along an edge or fence line, that doesn't interfere with your annual vegetable rotation, since all four of these crops are permanent residents once they're in the ground. Give asparagus its own dedicated row since it needs that 2 to 3 year establishment window with zero disturbance. Let your walking onions have a border area where they can slowly migrate year after year without bothering anything else. Contain your Jerusalem artichokes tightly, either in a livestock tank, an old feed trough, or a bottomless raised bed lined with landscape fabric on the sides only, so they can't spread into areas you don't want them. And give horseradish its own permanent corner where you're fully comfortable with it staying forever. Once these four are planted and established, realistically within their first 2 to 3 years, you are looking at spring asparagus. Fresh green onions all summer, a massive tuber harvest every fall, and horseradish root anytime you want to dig some up, year after year, decade after decade, with essentially zero replanting required. This is exactly the kind of system that turns a garden from a yearly chore into a genuine long-term food source. If this video showed you something new, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one, and let me know in the comments which of these 4 zombie crops you're planting first. I read every comment, and I'd love to hear what's already growing wild in your garden. See you in the next one.